what we've got here is failure to communicate.
Hey, I'm UFC President Dana White, and you're in the ring with Callum McGregor.
They're staring at me. See them?
UFC 274. I am really looking forward to this weekend's fight card. There's a lot of other fights going on this weekend as well too. Man, you could get lost really quick with the amount of fights that you would want to bet this weekend. So I would say bankroll management, be careful, pick your spots right. A la round 4, 5, or decision Chito Vera. What a way to finish off the weekend. That was amazing to watch, man. It's amazing to see somebody get actually outstruck, but just you could see the damage. You could see the difference live, and there was no arguing it. What did you think of the main event? We'll just talk about that quick, and then we'll jump in.
Yeah, man. I thought it was great, man. I think we were all on the same page too. Like we all thought Cheeto was the side. And my biggest takeaway from this is I'm happy to kind of see the judges do their job for once. Like I know that a lot of people saw the picture going around that explained like the strike differential between Raw Font and Cheeto Vera. But although there was about 100 strike difference, Raw Font really didn't do anything with the strikes, where everything that Cheeto landed did damage. And at the end of the day, you can tell he clearly won that fight. So that was honestly my biggest takeaway, is the fact that I was happy the judges did do it in the right direction. And Cheeto looked good, man. I saw he just called out Dominic Cruz. Excuse me. And I think that'd be an exciting fight for everybody involved. But there's tons of matchups about him. I just hope they don't make the Sean O'Malley fight, because I feel like Sean O'Malley is just far beyond what he should be taking at this point, especially after a win like that.
Yeah, and I mean, the damage on the face was so blatantly obvious, and it wasn't as if it was like Diaz damage or even GSP later in his career where you hit them once and their eye breaks open from scar tissue. It was all fresh, very new, knees, elbows. He was being countered quite a bit. It was amazing to watch. And we will go from pure violence right into raw violence. We have Charles Oliveira, the champion, 32-8-0 against Justin Gaethje, the challenger, 23-3-0. We have boxing prowess with some wrestling against jiu-jitsu and dynamic Muay Thai. Man, this is going to be one hell of a fight. And I think like many, you can go back and forth on this. There's so many different ways you could see this fight going. It's going to start on the feet. Oliveira is game with Gaethje and is dangerous with his elbows, his knees, he really utilizes all his limbs. Gaethje has come a long way with his striking, and he utilizes his boxing very well, very crisp boxing as of late, but still just has that crazy wild man approach as well too, and has the power in his hands, dynamite in his hands. I think the difference here, and a lot of people are thinking about to say the jiu-jitsu. I don't know if it's going to get there. I think the difference here is Oliveira gets hit early. And I've seen this in many fights. I've gone back and forth on this fight, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to approach it. But that's the one thing that's scaring me about this fight. I think if that's the one thing scaring me, maybe I want to bet on that. I think that Oliveira gets touched quite a bit early in his fights, and I don't think that Justin Gaethje is the guy to do that. That being said, Oliveira could have a smart camp. They could understand you need to take a different approach. You're the champion. You need to hold on to the belt. He could, stand on the outside and try to figure his way in a different way, other than putting himself in fire. Because Oliveira likes to get right there in the firefight, and I don't know if Gaethje's the guy to do it with. I think Gaethje probably clips him, man. I think in 5 rounds he's going to catch him somewhere. But I could also see easily an anaconda choke in the second round from Oliveira. So I'm really going back and forth on this. I'm interested to see what you say on this. I may wait to the scales to really finally make a decision on this, even though the scales probably won't really tip one thing or the other. For you, what do you think on the main events? Oliveira, Gaethje.
Yeah, man. I feel like anybody who says they really have a read on this fight just kind of tooting their own horn at this point. Because as you stated, man, there is multiple ways this fight can play out. Right now, Charles Vera is a minus 192 with the return on Justin Gaethje being a plus 154. Now, looking at this fight, man, like I think anybody who thinks that they really have a read on this fight is just kind of tooting their own horn. Like it's one of these fights that you see so many variables on how it can go. Like if you look at the over and the unders on this, the fight doesn't go the distance right now. It's minus 550. So they're definitely expecting a finish in the spot. As you stated, like it's just a matter of if Charles can withstand. And I think there's a lot of recency bias in this fight where, we've seen Charles do well in his last two outings, and we kind of expect him to come here and do the same. But he is known for quitting in his fights. And where Justin had that loss to Khabib, it's kind of hard to gauge if that's really what we're going to see in this. Like Khabib's on another level than Charles is. So I don't know if Charles is going to be able to nullify what Justin's coming at him. Like he's really going to have to deal with that forward pressure, especially early. The one thing that does scare me, and as you pointed out too, is Justin is very hittable, man. If you look at the odds, or if you look at the stats, Justin gets hit 7.5 times per minute. So he takes a shit ton of damage. But ultimately, man, I lean Justin in this fight. Like I really think that is the side. I think the best play in this fight, though, and call me crazy on this, is the over 2.5 at plus 120. I think this fight gets slightly extended. Like, I don't think we see both guys come out guns blazing. I think we kind of see a really slow start to this fight, despite what most people believe, because I think both guys are aware of exactly what we're saying. You saw the Chandler fight with both these guys. They both came out and that shit was going off from start to finish. So I think this fight's going to take a little bit longer to get into what we expect, but I definitely see a finish. And I probably see it on the Gaethje side rather than the Charles side on this one. So I'm going to go with the dog on this one as well.
Yeah, I was saying like mostly that I was actually saying that Oliveira did get hit quite a bit too. But yeah, I know Gaethje, in order for him to get going, he needs to get touched up a whole bunch as well too. Oliveira gets touched early, so it's just going to be a power thing. Him being the dog, I think I might be on the Gaethje side of things as well. But like I said, I may hold off a couple more days and buy myself some time. But for now, I think I'll probably lean on the Gaethje side as a dog money. Power in the hands, you got to go with it. So next fight in the card, we have Rose Namajunas against Carla Esparza. Esparza finally getting her shot. Esparza coming in at 18-6-0. Rose, the champion, Namajunas coming in at 11-4-0, and most of her losses have been redeemed. So we have the champ coming in. What's your thoughts on this one, man? I mean, we know that wrestling could be the issue. Does it play out the way it had? I don't know. How do you really see this? Do you see Rose being able to really dominate this fight? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty heavily on the Rose side on this. If you look at the odds right now, the odds are sitting at a minus 220 for Rose with the return on Carla Esparza at a plus 176. I'm a big Carla fan, and to be honest, I'm fairly surprised that this fight actually ended up getting made. I really thought the UFC would be dogging Carla a lot on this, but the only unfortunate thing for her is her path to victory is very slim. Like she needs to take the fight down, she needs to hold her down, and at the end of the day, there's a 5-round fight. You're not going to see cardio issues from either girl, but I don't think that Carla's, in retrospect, going to be able to hold up that sort of pace with Rose, where Rose is going to be touching her up on the feet. Like she's going to have to go through fire to get that takedown. And even then, man, every single time you see Rose in her guard, she's pulling up her legs. She's going for submissions. She's always shooting for triangles. So it's not like Carla is that safe on the ground either. So I think Rose wins this fight pretty dominantly. As for props in this one, I wouldn't even really touch any. I think Rose is a fairly decent parlay piece. And it's hard to tell if this fight's going to get extended. If it's not, there's too many variables for me to touch any over-unders or anything on this one. But I think Rose is definitely the side.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Rose should be able to do better in the scrambles and get back to her feet. She is going to get taken out a couple times, and you are right. It's like, is Esparza going to be able to actually hold her down? It is a 5-round fight. Rose has been there before. This, once again, is where, I was obviously leaning with the champ, but the wrestling scares the hell out of me. However, you sort of lead me in one direction again. So we'll go with Rose Namajunas for the win, and we will move on to the next fight in the card, which is going to be a giant We'll call this a big bag of donkey dicks, aka a tire fire mountain, barn burner. I don't know what the fuck you want to call this thing. I don't know why Michael Chandler wants to get into fights like this, but do you even know where to look at this? Because I'll be honest, man, imagine if Tony Ferguson came out and just starches Chandler, or like drags him to the ground right away and just submits to shit him. They just pull off something crazy. When was the last time you saw Tony Ferguson? When was the last time he fought?
The last time he fought was Benil Dardouche, where he kind of just got
Destroyed.
I don't even know if you can say destroyed, man. He just kind of got held down for 3 rounds. It wasn't really like a massacre by any sense. Like the Justin Gaethje fight was a fucking massacre.
Yeah.
But even then, it's not like he didn't land his shots in that fight. He just didn't win by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know, man. Like it's tough, right? Because my biggest issue with Michael Chandler is the fact that despite this guy's years of experience, he has dog shit fight IQ.
Yeah.
Like even in that Justin Gaethje fight, man, like why not shoot for a takedown? Like why not try it? Like you're getting busted up on the feet, you're hurting him, he's hurting you, but you probably have an advantage on the ground. Michael Chandler came out this week and said his plan is to KO Tony Ferguson. Nobody fucking KOs Tony Ferguson. Like, I don't understand. Like, maybe that's just a ploy. Why not come out and wrestle with the guy? Like, it's been shown in his last 3 fights that you can hold this guy down. That although he's got amazing jiu-jitsu, his wrestling just doesn't, it's not up to par with a guy. And Michael Chandler is a well-decorated wrestler. So Michael Chandler's a tough sell, man, especially at minus 450. Every week I've kind of taken like a real out there shot. Like last week, I told everybody, I said, although I had Andre Filio parlayed up like crazy to bet the first round KO from Brito at plus 2,200. I cashed that ticket. I don't know if a lot of people did.
I didn't even see that. Nice.
Yeah, I said 22 because whenever you look at fights, man, you need to understand like if you got to go for their win condition, right? Joannis and Brito's only chance to win that fight was in the first round by KO because he goes balls to the wall and he's going to tire out by the second. So I bet it, man. And it honestly feel like cost me a lot of parlays, but that win covered everything and made me some profit. So
nice, man.
This is where I'm leaning with this, though, where I'm probably going to play Tony Ferguson by submission because it's plus 1,400.
I was thinking that too.
And I'm like, fuck it. Like, Michael Chandler's fight IQ could be the downfall in this fight. And if Tony Ferguson does land one of those spinning elbows or does catch him clean with a shot, he's going to shoot. Baby. And when he shoots, what does Tony Ferguson do? He fucking locks up that darts choke. That's what he goes for every single time.
Yep. It's like right away too. It's instant. Like it's
especially if like Chandler gets rocked, because then it's going to be a sloppy shot. And with that jiu-jitsu he has in his background, man, that's a play right there. So, like, I know Chandler's the side, and I'm not advocating saying go bet the money line at plus 330 for Tony Ferguson. But if you're going to take a dog shot, you take that dog shot on Tony Ferguson by submission.
But to your point, like, here's the thing. This is a fight IQ issue, right? So I think Chandler fighting Gaethje in that crazy barn burner fight upped his value, allowed him to get a bigger payday, multiple different things for him. But to do this with the Tony Ferguson in this fight that doesn't have, although it has eyes on it, it's third fight down the card. It's not going to have as many eyes on it. And I don't think it's a smart play. I think, sure, stand on the outside with him a little bit, but really he needs to get to his wrestling. But if he does get clipped, man, the subs are there. And Tony Ferguson is just that guy. And to your point, what you were saying before, he's got held down by wrestlers before. That was his loss. Well, if Chandler is going to show poor fight IQ and not wrestle, where does this fight go? Exactly. How much damage did Chandler take in that fight against Gaethje? Is his chin now a little bit more compromised? Is he more? It's very interesting. I probably will take the dog shot. I'm going to be honest. I'm actually a pretty big Chandler fan. I more was back in the Bellator days. But man, I bet against fight IQ or I stay off it. So it'll be one of the two. But it's also not even a bad end of whatever. Honestly, I might not even do a parlay this week. We might just pick some spots. But if you did like a mini parlay, whatever way you put your parlays together and you ended it with this fight with a Tony as a hedge, it's not a bad look either. So But
Yeah,
anyways, we'll move
100%.
on to the next fight on the card. I think we see the value in Tony. Chandler's probably the side, but let's move to the next fight on the card. So we have Oben St. Preux against a rematch against Mauricio Shogun Hua. You know, Shogun obviously has been looking a little bit better as of late, but against Oben St. Preux, obviously did not look that great, taken out pretty early in that fight. But I'm just not impressed by St. Preux. I'm going to be pretty quick on this fight. Old dog, new tricks. Like, who is going to come out and does what he's going to do what he does. He's not changing. He's not changing his style. He's going to come out and bang. And I think he's going to catch St. Preux in this fight, or at least win the minutes in this fight. I don't know, man. I think St. Preux wilts in this fight. I'm not a fan of him anymore. I think he's not caliber. I mean, it's up to him to prove me wrong, but he's looked horrible as of late. So I think there's some redemption in this fight. I'm just going to be really quick on my pick on this one. I don't want to break it down analytically because it could go multiple different ways, the way it would finish, or if it rides out to a decision. And I'm not really that interested in even seeing the fight again, but I'll go with Mauricio Shogun Hua. Won't be seeing my money in this fight.
Yeah, it's unfortunate this fight and the next fight we're about to break down is we're really taking back fights that should have happened. Well, this fight did happen a long time ago, but both Shogun and Oben St. Preux are so fucking past their prime, man, that it's a hard fight to bet. I do unfortunately already have OSP parlayed, and it is a little bit of a worrisome spot. But the problem I have with MMA these days is if I don't lock in these parlays I'm comfortable with on a Sunday, then by fucking fight day I'm paying 4 times the price for it. So I do have OSP parlayed up. I do think he's probably the side in this one, but I am worried about the weight cut because this fight's back down to 205. It's been a couple of years since Oben St. Preux has made that weight, and he has stated in the past in interviews that he didn't like making the weight cut. That's why he went out to heavyweight. Heavyweight didn't really go his way. So let's see how it plays out. But I'm a little bit nervous in the spot. It's hard to break it down, man. Mauricio Shogun Rua hasn't looked good in a lot of years. The Paul Craig fight was fucking terrible to watch, and the fact that they did it twice was even worse.
What fight does it go?
Let's take a look. The fight doesn't go the distance. Is -230. So honestly, it's not terrible. Because I'd be actually, I don't know. Fuck, I can see these guys holding each other up against the fence for the better
This
part
fight
of
can
15
stay
minutes.
off for me, man. Like, I think the best advice to give anybody is to stay off. I want to sprinkle degenerately do it up, but I think it's a fight to definitely enjoy because it could be crazy. They could go in there and just slug it out. But I'm just not a fan of St. Preux at this point. I think he's just not the caliber, and I think that Mauricio should have probably retired a couple of years ago. Even though he's shown some, sparks in there, it's irrelevant at this point.
I'm hoping this is both their last fights, man. Like I really don't want to see either one of these guys again. Not even the fact that they're getting beat up is just.
Because I hope it's the last 2 fights for Joe Lozon as well as the last fight for Donald Cerrone as well too. These guys have been fighting for far too long, and they're fighting each other now. It just seems like this is the perfect setup for both these guys to say, hey, these are 2 names in the UFC that fought so many times. They were the Warriors, sort of you don't want to call them journeymen because they were in the UFC forever, but these are the guys that just fought nonstop. Like, I know Lozon now is only fighting once a year, but back in the day, he fought quite a bit. So we have a guy who's probably been hit way too many times in Joe Lozon against a guy who's been hit way too many times in Donald Cerrone. Lozon's going to come out fast. He's going to come out hard. You're going to hear the same breakdown from everybody this week. He's going to come out fast and hard. And if he doesn't catch Cerrone's probably going to start coasting into his game plan and start picking Joe Lozon, a gassy Joe Lozon apart with some body kicks and breaking him down. So, man, I mean, we could see Cerrone come out and do good things, but I just don't know, man. I don't even know how this fight could go so many different ways too. It's a little bit slobby to me. I don't really want to see these guys fight anymore out of full respect. I mean, amazing martial artists. It's just, I just see them hanging up at this point. I don't think they need to fight at this point. I think Cerrone's doing pretty well for himself at this point. But I know he's a warrior and he wants to go out in the Shield. So I'd like to see, at least if they have a fight of the night or whatever it is, that they call it quits. That would be the best way, I think, for this to finish. But How do you sort of see this one going, man? Does Lozon pull off the first round melee, or does Cerrone coast into a either decision victory or a late finish?
Yeah. So as I was saying before, I put in a parlay earlier, and I actually parlayed up Joe Lozon. I think he gets this fight done, and I think he probably gets it done in the first round. Like, I haven't seen anything from Donald Cerrone since this fight with Alec went to. What's that?
6 fights, man.
Yeah, like it's and you know you could argue I did think he actually won the Pettis fight, and I think even Pettis was surprised that he won that fight. He did look good in that fight, but in retrospect, if you look at Pettis, man, he went over to the PFL with the expectations of doing well, and he is not doing well. He's got a fight coming up this weekend, I believe, and I think he's the favorite. And I'm probably going to fade him again just because I think Pettis is well past his prime. So
he plays down to his competition. That's his problem. He's so talented, plays down to his competition, gets in his head, never lives up to his potential.
Yeah, man, this fight's just super hard to break down. Like we all want to see Donald Cerrone come out and do his thing. But at the end of the day, man, the guy's on a 6-fight losing skid. Joe Lozon didn't look that bad against Jonathan Pierce. He actually ended up getting the TKO in that fight. And this is another one of these spots where I think Joe Lozon wins. I like the money line on him. I like the first round finish at like plus 1,800 because I think it's super live. And if Cerrone wins, man, I will lose every single bet. But I think Joe Lozon's probably the side on this one.
All right. Moving on to the next fight on the card, we have Chaos Williams against Brandy Brown. This is going to be a potential fight of the night, as long as it may last, if it does. I mean, Randy Brown looked great against Alex Oliveira. He looked great against Jared Gooden. The guy's got striking and pinpoint accuracy, and his boxing is really nice to watch. His elbows. He's got really, I think, what it takes to potentially beat a guy like Chaos Williams if he can weather the storm. And I think we've been fading Chaos Williams in the past. And man, what he did in his last fight, he looked absolutely amazing. Baeza, I know his chin now is sort of a suspect thing at this point, but how do you really like? What's the line right now? What's it sitting at?
Right now, Chaos Williams is a slight favorite, sitting. Oh shit! 1 second. Yeah, he's sitting at a minus 122 with the return being even money on Randy Brown at plus 100.
Yeah, it's a tough one, man. It's going to literally be chaos, and then when they're fighting, and it could end either way anyway. And it's a really tough one to cap, really tough one to bet. I may lean Chaos Williams in this one, just momentum, the way he's rolling, just pure authority in the way he's been fighting. But I don't know if I really can get on the side on this as far as, you know, the lean, where to put your money. What's your thoughts on this one? I know that you were fading Chaos last time and regretted it, but where are you at with this one?
Yeah, like I feel like I have to fade the public a little bit on this, man. Like most cappers I listen to are coming in strong on Randy Brown, and like I don't personally see it. Like I get the fact the guy's like long, lengthy, and he does have the tools to win this fight. Like a friend of mine, I've gone back and forth a lot on this one in the discussion, and this is probably going to be one of the more contested fights going into this weekend. But the thing that I notice the most is Randy Brown does not like to get hit. And regardless if it takes Chaos a round or two to catch him, whenever he starts getting hit, he's really not going to enjoy it. And I think that's
he does
just
sort of turn away at points. You're right.
exactly. And I think that's just going to nullify him at this point. You know, there was that KO to Nico Price, which once again, you know, it's could have happened to anybody. Like, but I think Chaos is just evolving in his game. And I think Randy Brown is going to be there too. But I just think the durability of him is going to come into play here. And I think Chaos at some point is going to catch that chin. So I think Chaos inside the distance is probably the play here.
Okay, moving on to the next fight on the card, we have Francisco Trinaldo against Danny Roberts. Danny Roberts, 18-5-0. Trinaldo, 44 years old, 27-8-0, coming off of what was his loss? Who did he lose to last fight?
Who, Trinaldo?
Yes.
Who was it?
That's right. Dwight Grant. It was the split decision against Dwight Grant. So, I mean, we know that he has looked like he's starting to fade later in fights. We know that his power starts to fade. That's the biggest thing. It's not necessarily a worry about the gas tank and him completely getting taken out. So that's really one of the biggest worries people have. He does have combinations and he has that power in the hands. Once it starts to go, though, I think Danny Roberts is going to coast and start to take over. I think Roberts is just going to be faster, going to be able to play Trinaldo the way he wants to. And I think this is going to be predominantly a stand-up battle. And this needs to be his last fight, man. I think he needs to call it. Hopefully it's a great fight for him to go out on. I'm going to lean Danny Roberts on this. What's the line sitting at currently right now?
The line right now. Okay, sorry, FanDuel has it in a weird order. The line right now is -104 for Danny Roberts and -118 for Trinaldo.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Danny Roberts side on this. But how are you taking this fight? I just think that Trinaldo's gonna start fading. I just think there's going to be a little bit more volume from Roberts, and he's going to be landing a little bit more at will, and sort of allocating how the stand-up battle goes. So I'm going to go with Roberts, like a Roberts by decision. That might even be a prop play to take a look at. What is your thoughts on this one?
Slightly lead Trinaldo, but it's with very little confidence. I think this fight can go either way. I think both these guys have a relatively easy path to victory. If Danny Roberts stays on the outside and is able to land his punches and his kicks and kind of just nullify Trinaldo's big shots and takedowns, then he could easily ride this to a decision. Even at Trinaldo's age, though, we know that he's got the power to catch his chin. So it's going to be a close one. I think the best way to play the fight is probably the over, though. I feel like if there is a finish, it will come on the Trinaldo side, but it will be, after the 1.5 mark. Fortunately, on FanDuel, I don't have those odds yet. I only have odds for the pay-per-view or for, the pay-per-view portion of it. But I said I slightly lean Trinaldo based on the fact that I hope he wrestles.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that could actually be a huge difference in the fight if you were to go that way.
But
and I mean,
he hasn't shown that in quite a few years where he implements his wrestling quite like he used to. So, this is you'd be taking this bet on an assumption that he's going to do what I think he should do.
Okay. Next fight on the card, we have Macy Chiasson against Norma Dumont, aka the female Christoph Jocko. Norma Dumont, the one thing that a lot of people say, she has a solid base and they make jokes about it, but she really, really does. Her physicality makes it harder for you to take her down. She's not scared to go into the cage with people because she can make her way out, no problem. We know what her jab can do to people. And the reality of the fact is, I think although Chiasson does have a solid stand-up game, I'm going to go with the Jocko. I'm going to go with the female Christoph Jocko, and I'm going to lean Norma Dumont in this fight. I think, it may look unremarkable the way that she nullifies Macy Chiasson's a little bit more firepower in the stand-up. But 7-1-0 Norma Dumont. What's the lineup right now? That'll actually probably allocate what I do with anything anyways. But I'm just leaning, I think that Norma Dumont's going to be able to nullify some of the firepour and the explosiveness of Macy Chiasson. And Chiasson, hasn't she missed weight a couple of times recently?
Yeah. She missed weight in her fight with Aspen and Aspen Ladd decided to not take it. Right now, Norma Dumont's sitting at a -250 with the return on Chiasson +198.
Not as interested in it because I don't know if it's how many times out of 10 that she's going to actually win that. I think Chiasson could. There's paths to victory for sure. So I don't know if that line's a little bit off for me. But at the same time, I mean, Chiasson missing weight, that's probably something to do with the line too. People's confidence in her isn't quite there. How serious is this girl at this point? So I'm leaning Norma Dumont, but you probably won't see me touch this fight at this point at that price tag.
Yeah, man, I have to agree on this one too. I think Norma Dumont's definitely the side on this one. I think she's just going to be able to nullify Macy Chiasson's striking and be able to take her down, hold her up against the cage. And even in the striking exchanges, I feel like it's going to be fairly close. So I agree with the line. Honestly, I think -250 is fair. I think the line probably gets juiced by the end of the week, though. So I think, Norma Dumont's the side. Not much else to say there.
Okay, next fight in the card, we have Brandon Raw Dog Royval, 13-6-0 against Matt Schnell, 15-6-0. What's the line sitting at in this one right now? It's relevant because I think Royval is getting blown up right now.
Yeah, but right now, Brandon Royval is minus 265 with the return on Chanel being a plus 210.
And look, Brandon Royval in all rights has this on the ground with this jiu-jitsu. He has the stand-up to win this fight too. In some of the grappling exchanges, I think that he may have a little bit of some issues against the cage and whatnot, but his style, though, he tried to sort of nullify his own style or dumb it down, so to speak, so he wasn't so crazy trying to conserve his gas tank last fight. But his style leads to potential decisions where he loses because it looks bad. He gets hit and he sort of moves around, he falls, and it looks bad to the judges. So when you're sitting at minus what, 265, what is it? Minus what?
Minus 265.
Yeah, I'm not in on that, man. I mean, I don't know what to do with that. You could maybe, if I want to mess around with a split decision, I mess around there. I'd see what's going on with that, but I'm not really looking at, because he's going to attack submissions. A lot of judges have been looking at submissions a lot more, with a heavier sword, so to speak. So yeah, I maybe look at that split decision Royval, but as a fun prop. But other than that, I mean, it's a stay away with the price tags that, man.
Yeah, honestly, this is one of the ones where I completely agree with you on. And it's just because of Royval's style of fighting. It's not that I don't think he's good, and I think he definitely has the potential to be the top tier style of fighter, but he puts himself in positions to lose minutes, and that's always risky. Like he's the type of guy that comes out and he wants to show how good he is rather than just like implementing a decent game plan. And that's always nerve-wracking, man. That being said, Matt Schnell really isn't the fighter that I think is going to bring it out in. Most of his wins come by submission, at least his fights against Jordan Espinoza and Luis Smoka. But I don't know, man. Like, I really think Royval's the side, but minus 265 is so hard to lay on a guy that you know is going to lose minutes. So I think Royval wins. He probably gets it done inside of the distance if he's going to win, but God help me if that thing hits the scorecards, you're going to be probably fucking sweating that decision.
For sure. Next fight in the card, I'm going to keep it nice, short, and sweet. Blago Ibanana against Marcos Majerio de Lima. This is nice and simple. This man is tapped to like phantom submissions. De Lima, my daughter could submit him. Okay, she hasn't taken a jiu-jitsu class yet. This dude is going to lose. At the same time, though, I don't really want to put any money anywhere near it. Heavyweights, you never know what can happen. Someone slips on a banana peel, hits their head, who knows? Blagoy should win by all rights, and I mean Marcos de Lima, he doesn't even like getting hit. So I don't even know why he's a fighter. He taps, he gives up, he doesn't like getting hit. He has the power, I get it. There's a physicality there, but what's the line sitting at right now for this fight? You can tell I have disdain for this. This is actually the bag of dog dick fight of the night. This is the fight I don't really care to see.
Right now you have Blagoy even off sitting at minus 158 with the return on Marcos Rodriguez, sure, at plus 128. I think honestly, man, like I think this fight's kind of fairly lined. Like even off, I think should be a bigger favorite. Like whenever I first started looking into this card, I was like, oh, like Rodrigo, like the guy he just knocked out Ben Rothwell. Like I bet Ben Rothwell in that spot. There must be something to that. And then I started going through the tape and watching the guy's old fights, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy fucking sucks. Like there is times where he's been put in a guillotine and both arms aren't even connected. And as you said, the guy's just tapping. He's like, nah, fucking, I'm done. Like I know where this is going. So he literally got.
That's the mentality you don't put your money on.
Yeah, like the guy's just the second he knows he's compromised, he's like, fuck it, we ain't even trying for this one, man. We're trying again next week. Like, Ivanov has been stabbed in the heart and still lived. Like, this dude is just a fucking savage. And I think he's the side, man. Like, he should be able to deal with like whatever Rodrigo throws. Like, you're talking about a guy that went through a decision with Derek Lewis. Like, the guy's taking punches from big guys. Like, And even that Ben Rothwell KO, as much as it was premature, like we all know Ben Rothwell was probably heading in a bad direction there. But like Rodrigo Lilly came out and just threw like 7 hooks from left field. He came out like a fucking like a batter at a baseball game, man. He was just winging it. So you guys got no real technical skill.
Here's the thing: we're already talking so much about this more than even some other fights, which leads people to think that they should even invest their interest in this one.
Yeah, don't bet this fight.
Stay away from this. It's a dumpster fire. No, not well. No degenerate shit. We're staying away from it. Moving on to the next fight. Speaking of degenerate shit, Andre Filio, quick turnaround off his knockout win over Baeza against Cameron Van Camp, who was supposed to come in and fight on short notice a little while ago. Fight fell through. Now he's back in debut. From what everybody's saying and from what I've seen on tape, he's just not quite the caliber and class. Like he's not quite pieced things together yet. 15-5-1, maybe he never will piece it together. There's some power there, there's some technique, but I just think that Filio is gonna likely be deciding this like 100% of the time, and will likely be, if we put a parlay together, a piece of the parlay. If not, it'll just be a prop first round or something very definitive. What's your thoughts on this one? I just think I'm gonna go with Andre on this side. I think he's got clean striking. I just love watching him fight, and the power in his hands is there. So I think he's gonna take out Cameron Van Camp in this one. Thoughts?
Yeah, like, well, so right now Andre Filio is actually sitting at a minus 320 with the return on Van Camp being a plus 245. Actually, it's kind of surprised by this line because it was stated at a minus 350 earlier. So there is some money coming in on Van Camp, which kind of blows my mind. Van Camp's win condition is essentially getting this fight to the ground. Filio, if you watch any of his regional team footage, has great takedown defense. So I feel like it'll be nullified, especially for a guy like Van Camp. Like the guy hasn't really beaten any sort of high level competition. Whenever he's been put up against any sort of high level competition, he's lost. You know, you can go back to his fighting in Austin Hubbard a couple of years ago, where Austin Hubbard's in the UFC now and is probably a middle tier type fighter, and he got starched in that fight. Like, so any single time he's facing a guy who's gonna be on the up and up, he's done horrible. And in retrospect on Filio, man, like Fielo's a guy that nobody gave him the time of day in that Pereira fight. There was some money coming in on that first round KO. We all thought that fight wasn't going to go very long. And Filio won minutes in that fight and won rounds.
100%.
And even in the third round, man, like, his judges was like slapping him in the face and was like, you got to get the fuck out there. Bro, he came out there and he gave Pereira a fight where that thing went to the judges, It could have gone either way. Like Pereira was definitely the side in that winning, but to the point is just Filio has shown us that he's UFC caliber. That win against Miguel Bejes in the first round, UFC caliber fighter. I think this fight ends. I think it ends violently, and then I think Filio gets this shit done in the first round.
Awesome. Next fight on the card, we had Tracy Cortes against Melissa Gatto. We're gonna go real fast on the next couple. Tracy Cortes is more top dominant, some wrestling. Decent stand up, but the reality is I'm gonna side with Gatto on this one. I believe we cashed Gatto submission not too long ago, and she's just too slick. I think that either she's going to attack enough that she wins minutes, or she's gonna win. What it was? It was the body kick. We were calling submission. We did inside the distance, and she ended up catching Sijara Eubanks with the body kick. That's right. I just think that we'll go with Gatto in this one. What's your thoughts on this one? How do you see this fight breaking down? Don't want to take too long on this one. I just think that Gatto's going to be the side.
We'll keep playing it simple, man. I'm on the same boat as you, man. So we cashed big. I think I cashed big on the third round for Gatto last time, so she made me real good money on that one too.
That's what it was.
The third round KO problem, man. We cashed big money on that off small bets. Plus 2,000 or something. Either way, to the point. Tracy Cortes' plan is going to be to take this fight to the ground. But Gatto has a lot of finishes off the ground. She's going to be the higher volume fighter, and she's going to be the fighter that's really seeking for submissions. So unless Cortes is able to really nullify everything and hold her down and make this a boring ass fight, I'm with you, man. I think Gatto's the side. I think you bet it early because there's tons of money coming in. And I think you probably see a finish in this fight too, man. The girl's a fucking savage.
For sure. Yeah, that's what it was. I think we looked at submissions, went inside the distance, but we're looking at it like a third round, sort of dragging it out, and then ended with a body kick that we didn't actually see quite coming. So next fight on the card, we have Cleetson Rodriguez, speaking of some body kicks, against CJ Vergara. Vergara's got will. Vergara will march forward. I definitely think he is live in this fight. I'll get you to tell the line in 1 minute. But I'm going with Cleetson in this. This guy is definitely impressed. Stand-up's just on point. Decent ground game as well, too. And I just think Vergara is just outside of the class of the UFC as well, too. Like I said, the will's there. A little bit smaller. He's got to march. He's gonna have to try to gain that distance and get inside that pocket there and actually slang. I think that's going to be dangerous for him. So I just think that Rodriguez is going to catch him on the way in, touch him up, maybe put him out the pasture in this fight. But he is tough. Like I said, maybe it goes decision. Rodriguez wins based on moments. Thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm the exact same way, man. And honestly, like the book, he's just seeing in the same way. Clayton Rodriguez opened up around a -220, sitting at a -310 right now. The return on CJ Vergara is sitting at a +240. This is kind of a contender series fade where you want to get a little bit, but I just don't think it's the spot, man. CJ Vergara, man, we saw in his fight with Odie Osborne where he did look good in that fight, but he's very one-dimensional, man. Like he needs to be in close landing punches. And with Clayton Rodriguez, man, the guy's throwing fucking high kicks, spinning shit. Like I just don't see where Vergara wins minutes in this fight. What's that?
With intent. Like he throws with intent, man.
Yeah, man. Like, all it's going to take is one of those body kicks, man. And CJ Vergara is going to real question getting in close. CJ Vergara, I believe, has a 1-inch reach advantage. But whenever you think about the limbs and stuff like that, like Clayton's going to be in and out, man. And he's just going to be fucking doing damage. So I'm all in on Clayton. And I said, if you want to bet this fight, I bet it early because that line is getting juiced.
Okay, next fight on the card, we have Lupita Golinez against Ariane Carlosi. A whole bunch of jokes I've heard this week about Carlosi and picto power and pictograms and all the fun stuff that comes with the fact that she looks like a statue and like she's chiseled out of stone. You know where I'm going to go with this fight. I'm going to be a little bit of a fanboy. I'm pretty high on Lupita Golinez. I think that she's going to be able to fluster Ariane Carlosi. I know that Carlosi has the power in the hands, but I think she's gonna be able to fluster her up against the cage. I think she's gonna be able to create some issues. I do know it's a bigger cage. I know that's gonna create problems for Godinez a little bit, but I just think that I'm still gonna roll with Godinez in this. I think there's some momentum there. And Godinez, what's the line sitting at right now?
Right now, Godinez is sitting at a -162 with the return being stupid fucking thing. Either way, she's sitting at a -162. She's the favorite. The moment, or sorry, -176 with the return on Carlosi being a +142.
I see her winning some moments on the cage that aren't going to be so exciting. She's going to be in a dominant position up against the cage and pinning her up against the cage and holding her there for a while, trying to figure out the next step. Potentially getting her to the ground and fighting for better positions and landing a little bit of ground pound as well too. I don't know if I see her putting her out, but I think that Lupita's win. Even some get up on the feet, surprise her as well too, but more close to distance and set up that she sets up her striking well, or sets up her takedowns well and her wrestling well, pushing people into the cage with her strikes. So I just think Lupita's going to put it together. Go Mexico, go Canada. Lupita Godinez, I'll take her -160. I like that price tag. That works for me.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm 50-50 on this fight. I think Carlosi has the utility to win this fight, man. It's gonna be fucking close. Like I think this fight should be lined as a pick'em because I think Lupita needs to take this fight to the ground. And anytime you put somebody's win condition being minimal like that, it does worry me a little bit because I definitely think Carlosi wins minutes on the feet. She has 9 KOs in her career, which is pretty friggin' impressive for a women MMA fighter. So I think it'll be dicey. I think it'll be close. I got Lupita Gomez at I think +120 earlier in this week. I think she's the side, but I'm going to be fucking sweating that fight, man. I'll be really happy to see that shit get taken down and for that to be a boring fight.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually sort of her win condition, man. Her winning some top condition, top control, and a little bit more unremarkable fashion. But hey, against Carlosi, it's not necessarily a bad game plan.
Sure.
Next fight on the card, Journey Newsome against Bernie Garcia. So this is going to be Striker's delight. Um, I'm looking forward to this one, and like you, have gone back and forth. But I think on the ground, we know that Newsome does have a little bit of jits. Garcia, some strong wrestling, but I've seen pretty sloppy at times in top position and has been swept multiple times. You see on tape. In the striking game, though, I think that both of them going back and forth is going to be really fun to watch. I'm going to lean with Journey Newsome on this fight more because it's more I know what it is. I'm not a fan of Bernie Garcia. I'm just fading the guy. 10-1-0. I'm just not a huge fan. I don't know what it is. He rubs me the wrong way. I don't know maybe it was just the amount of times I saw him get swept when he's supposed to be this little more of a higher prospect. Same mistakes over and over again. But I'm going to lean with Journey Newsome over Fernie Garcia. What's the line stand right now?
Right now, Bernie Garcia is a -162 with the return on Newsome at a +132.
All day. Dog of the day.
Yeah. I don't got really too much to read on the side on this one, man. So I'll side with you on it. From what I saw on the tape study, I definitely thought Newsome was a side. Garcia seems to be relatively hittable and seems to have some sort of issues. So I think Newsome's definitely the side.
For sure. Yeah, so I think we found some spots. I like, I'm even going to probably roll with Lupita by decision. Look at Gatto by submission, maybe later in the fight too. Maybe Cortes is running some top game for a while and it's not a quick submission. I mean, who knows? Gatto's so dangerous. She could get it out early. Fialo in round one is definitely something to look at as well too. I don't know. Do you really feel that it's worth looking at a parlay, or do we just ride with some spots this week? What do you think?
I don't really think it's worth putting together, man. Like we put together a couple spots that we like, but I think that's I don't necessarily.
If I did something like this, like Norma Dumont by decision and Chaos William inside the distance, put it together, call it a day. Stuff like that. I think that's the way I'm going to start rolling for a little while.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been working for me. So I feel like the Dumont is a high percentage chance by decision, and Chaos Williams, if that hits, bang, that really makes things nice. So, but maybe we'll tweet out some more spots as we roll. What are some spots you're really high on?
Clayton Rodriguez is definitely a spot that I'm super high on. I like Beglow Ivanov, definitely high in that spot. Number Dumont, high in that spot. And I'm pretty high on Chaos Williams as well. Make our picks. I think it's honestly most of these fights are pretty fucking dicey. So Rose is probably the
dog.
Yeah, I think Rose is definitely the highest spot on it, but as for a main card pick, but
that's so scary when there's such solid wrestling she's going to face, even though I know she is what she is. The fact that that's the solid pick of the night shows what kind of quality that all is. So what a card. We're looking forward to it. Any other thoughts that you could think of? I can also, what I'm going to probably do in over 1.5, we can just sort of any other spots that we want to throw out there that are lock spots that we want to pick as our spots anyways. We'll put that out there then. Anything you want to touch on?
Man, I think we pretty much covered everything we have to on this one.
Okay, so barring things going the way they're supposed to tomorrow, over 1.5 is going to be a very entertaining one. Looking forward to that. As always, we look forward to every week. Fights come up every week. We look forward to seeing guys get in the cage and women get in the cage and fight and put it all on the line. And we'd love to watch tape and see if we can find some angles so we can all, edge out and get a little bit of cash out of these bookies. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show. And if not,
what we've got here is failure to communicate.
They're staring at me.